Peace, everyone. Today we have a great three-way conversation going on between Mitch, myself, and whoever that man is in the background.
This is not my house. Today we had the idea of talking about Package A because Eli and I just played in separate tournaments yesterday, which were both testing Package A,
In two
and we
different
won
countries.
two different countries across a big sea. And yeah, it was our first time doing the tournament, but we've been also testing Package A and pickup and stuff, so we have a pretty good feel for how it feels, and we wanted to talk about that and just talk rules stuff in general, how things are feeling, how things are going. So we're gonna say at first what package A is, and then go through each individual change and say what we think about it. So, and you're
Nice.
gonna listen.
Yeah, yeah. And we'd love to hear your thoughts too if you've been testing it all. Comment below. I feel like it'd be nice to get more ideas and if you guys agree or disagree on our takes.
Yeah,
And
I would love like a conversation in the chat. That would be fun.
yeah. And I think one of the other really cool things to point out before we get started is that Mitch was playing in a open tournament, right? So, and you had levels ranging from contender to one pro player there, correct?
Yeah, yeah, and everything in between, like low contender, mid contender, high contender, all the way through everything in Premier, even high Premier, and then one pro player.
Shout
Yeah,
out Sonny.
Sunny.
And I was playing mixed, so co-ed. In Germany they call it mixed. I like the word mixed better than co-ed. It's a
I like
French
mix more. Yeah, me too.
word.
Me too. Yep.
So I was playing mixed advanced here in Germany, which I would consider advanced, more like contender to lower premier in America because here in Germany there is no premier. So it just goes from contender to pro. We have a good mix of levels that we're playing, from high to low and mixed and open. So I feel like we got a lot of really good impressions, and we both talked to a bunch of people the whole time throughout the days. So.
Hmm.
Yeah. Okay, so let's quickly go through what the rules are, and then we'll go through each one individually. So first big rule change is 7.5 meter out of bounds, which is 25 feet, correct?
Yep, I think so.
25 foot out of bounds. So if you hit the ball out of bounds, it's a point for the other team. Next one is no same hand toss on the serve. So you can't hold it in your right hand, toss with your right hand, and serve. Hitting, no hitting on one or on two in the first possession. So you have to use three touches in your first possession. Then we have two rules when it comes to movement pre-point. One of them is that as the teammate of the server, once the server says serve, the teammate of the server is free to move before the serve is hit. They just need to stay outside of the service line. And the other movement is that the receiver's teammate is allowed to move forward and backwards. Last one is the simultaneous contact rule, which is if you and your teammate are playing defense, both of your hands kind of like intertwine as you get a touch, a simultaneous touch on the ball. That only counts as one touch. However, you're not allowed to hit the next ball. You must set from there and have the third hit go on the net. So,
Great defensive strategy. Go like
yes,
this.
this is how Mitch and I try to play defense all the time. It's just hand holding. So yeah, should we get started with the 7.5 meter out of bounds, 25
Yeah,
feet out of bounds?
yeah, sounds good.
How does it
So
feel?
interestingly, in the US, there's a couple rules that are slightly different. Um, college, the college like scene is doing 30 feet instead of 25.
Hmm,
And so that's what we were testing yesterday was 30.
interesting.
Yep. Which I really enjoyed. I've played a decent amount of boundary, but I don't, I guess I played one tournament with that boundary, but it's really nice. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I really have like very little qualms. I think maybe I'd have a different idea if I were to play a tournament with 25, because that takes away all chase down opportunities. Where as like 30, it's like you can kind of get a chase down that feels a bit like a chase down, a little bit, but 25 is very much not. I'm interested to see how 25 felt for you.
Yeah, yeah. So the team and I in Bonn here did some testing pre-tournament where we just set up the 7.5 meter range and saw how hard we could swing without the ball going out of bounds. And
Hmm.
with like an open or a pull shot, we discovered that if you're hitting more than 75% power, you're probably going out. And if you're hitting close to 70% and it lips, you're going out of bounds, which is pretty wild with the 25 feet and the pro ball, because it flies far, flies fast. So I could definitely see, I was thinking yesterday, I could see it being expanded a little bit. It did feel like slightly tighter than it maybe
Mhm.
needs to be.
And I
Um,
think that that was like Eli and I are both on the IRF team, so we have a little bit of insider info. That was the idea was that we were gonna clamp it really tight and then like move it back based on how what we're hearing from the community and what we need rather than going really far out and seeing very little change and then needing to move it in, move it in, move it in.
mm,
I think I'm pretty sure that that is the general plan of attack.
yeah, that's a good strategy. See how close you can go without it feeling it takes too much away from the game.
Right, and seeing how that affects the game more so than like if you did it at 35 feet and it only takes away like one shot a game, you know?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think one of the really interesting things that was happening with the no with the out of bounds is that if there was an offset at all, my partner and I would immediately switch into a funnel type defense.
Yep, yep,
And it was
yep.
like your second person should get to more like 7 feet, like around the service line. Because what's really weird is that the no man zone is gone now. Like
Yeah.
there was this no man zone where if you're standing at like the service line and you're playing defense without and out of bounds, you're absolutely screwed because you're giving them a ton of angle and they can boom it way over you. But in
Mhm.
this case, you can stay at like 7 foot or even in a tiny bit, and they can't rip it over you because they're going out of bounds, and you're still able to block off a decent amount of angle from that distance.
Mhm.
So the only thing that felt a little bit boring to me at times was if the set was bad, um, it felt like the hitter just kind of had to put in like a 40% power shot that was just like right down the middle. That just led to a good defensive touch, but it didn't feel like the defense took much skill. It felt like
Mm,
it almost
yeah.
made defense too easy.
Yep.
Um, However, I what I did really enjoy about that was that it made the fundamentals of setting way
Yes.
more important.
Right, right, right. It definitely really punishes a bad set. And
Yeah.
something that I did like about it is that it allows you to play defense in different ways rather
Yes.
than just playing tight, the majority of the time unless you have a really clear read on a long ball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what do you think about being the hitter with the out of bounds?
Yeah.
When you feel
Being the
hitting?
hitter, it felt like every time that I think I only hit out of bounds in with the 30 foot twice throughout the day. And both of those times I had gotten like a defensive touch and I really wanted to put the ball away. And so I hit it normal, like hard, decently low. Like it wasn't like a high hit, it wasn't like a boom. But it was low, hard, but it was just out. But I knew that I overswung a little bit because I really wanted the point.
Dude, I
Um,
did the same thing twice. That's funny.
yeah, 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 yeah. So I actually I didn't mind it as the hitter. I I feel like if there's a way that we could make it so that the no hit zone could or the out of bounds zone was a little bit further and have somehow have other rules constrain hitting enough. Like I want people to still think that have boom as an option. Like a
Mm,
like a like a like a downward boom. Like I want it to be so that people will hit a boom towards the outside of the boundary knowing that it's going to be decently hard for the other team to track it down and get it, rather than giving that kind of like easy shot right at the defense, like we were just talking about.
Yeah.
I think that would be ideal. I don't know if that's possible, but that's my favorite part of the game probably is like
Yeah.
the situation where it's like kind of off net, someone has a read and they someone hits a boom and then it just starts this like long kind of high flying rally.
Hmm.
I really love that and would be sad if that has to go. I understand if it does.
Yeah.
Um, but I would love it if it didn't. Yeah. But
Yeah.
also as the hitter, you have to be much more creative on bad sets for sure.
Yeah.
Like you have to learn how to hit these weird mid-range shots or like tooling it into the body person or yeah, you just have to learn weird shots or just like learn to be okay with like kind of just hitting it at someone, which is weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
like
I
like
definitely um there was a few rallies that I felt like it led to really fun rallies
Mhm.
that someone had to take that kind of mediocre shot, but then it started a very dynamic thing because all of a sudden it was like an off net out of system play that led to
yeah,
more
yeah.
like you had to move fast.
Yep, yep. I
Um,
agree. I agree.
yeah, which I think is cool.
Mhm.
It felt like for I was in one game that was just super uh holds based because both teams could put away really low with flicks, and it felt like there wasn't much variability in terms of what was happening, which again, when I'm thinking about rule change, I'm thinking about first of all, what's like super fun to play. Second of
Mhm.
all, what's going to help the sport grow, which I think the two are one and the same because the things that are fun to play are usually the crazy highlights. Things that are fun to
Totally.
watch are usually the crazy highlights.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, so yeah, that finding that balance is really interesting.
Hmm.
Definitely. It did feel really good that if we set a super good double body, the player on the other team was clearly really flustered. And
Right.
immediately
They couldn't just smash it over you.
they couldn't just smash it. A few people would chip us, and then you immediately knew I just need to turn and book it now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Or they would just try to like put it low into you, and then you hopefully have a decent chance of you're getting a touch at least. But the chance of it going up is still pretty low when you're in a double body, but at least it's better. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Anything else on that point? I guess as I'm talking through this, it's giving me thoughts about like general stuff that I was noticing too, but I feel like those will just come up as we go along.
Yeah, I think just as a last point, like
Yeah.
I feel I feel fully about boundary. Like I'm 100% in on boundary being a thing. I'm not confident on what the right distance is going to be because I think it is also very like the distance is also very dependent on what the other rule changes are
Yep.
and how far do we need it to be. Um, I feel like as a general, like my vote would be to push it as far back as we can while still maintaining whatever rally percentage we want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be
Um,
super cool if there was like if you could kind of either it's like a chip or a boom that you're sending to like deep in the field, and you just know you know that the other team has a good chance of getting the touch, but you're gonna force them into a really like they're gonna have to be fundamentally super clean if they're
right,
gonna want a good put away hit.
right.
I think
That
being able to force it into those types of rally situations would be really nice.
yeah, which this is all making me think about my big value of having a very dynamic sport where I want bodies to be a thing. I want long touches to be a thing. I want the mid-range touches to be a thing. I want like low hitting, boom hitting to be a thing. Like I want all of those to be a part of the game still. I don't want it to just be little crafty hits all the time with like quick little touches. Like that's a different game that can kind of feel like what the highlights from the 25-foot boundary have looked like that I've seen.
Yeah.
Um, so that makes me feel like I would love to explore other options rather than keeping it at 25.
Yeah.
like an expanded no hit zone or a bigger no drop zone, something like that, or bigger ball, like things like that. I would prioritize over keeping the no hit zone small because it really takes away a lot of the dynamics of the sport. Yeah,
Mm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
yeah,
All right. I'm sure more things are going to come up as we're just moving on the conversation, but
yeah.
rule number two is no same hand toss on serve.
hmm
You used to do have your lefty and then same hand righty toss. I never did same hand toss. How did you feel like it affected you?
Um, Not crazy. It feels like I swing righties as like a just so you know it's there option slash like if I see someone cheating, I'll just hit a quick righty. So it's not an option that I go for like as a any of my main serving options, but it's nice that it's there. Um, I feel like opposite hand toss has gone fine for me. Like I don't feel like I got a really, really clean ace yesterday with a righty opposite hand toss, and it felt great. Um, yeah,
What about
I can still hit good serves with it for sure.
yeah, so how do you think, I guess in terms of being a receiver too,
Yep.
um, I definitely think it's nice to not have same hand toss. It feels like uh the players that I've played against who have the most insane fakes that are like really, really difficult to read are people who would just like swing their hands out this way and then swing one hand back in the other direction and do like
Mhm.
a really quick release hit. Where I was also always like, I don't know if the balls actually fly in the 4 inches up from
Yeah.
their
Yeah.
toss. It's all happening so fast on that hand. And then people
Mhm.
were also doing like the ghost fake with the one hand where they would just like move their hand up and down. You couldn't actually see if they released the ball.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so to me, I think Samhan Toss being gone only had benefits. I could see it frustrating some people who have really dialed in that type of serve. Um, but I don't know. Do you see any downsides to it?
Um, Not big ones. No, nothing very significant. Um, I did face a really good server in semis yesterday who I've always struggled with his lefty righty combo and he same hand tosses and he was opposite hand tossing like he just learned how and he was still absolutely smothering me with lefties
Yeah.
like totally gapping me. I thought it was going to be slower. It was maybe a little bit slower,
Yeah.
but it was a lot less significant than I thought. I don't see many downsides, but the amount of change I think is very insignificant compared to
Yeah.
what I think serving would need, which is I think is just big ball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Like there's a bunch of the best servers in the world that haven't been using Samhan Toss at all. So
Vinny, Thomas, Marino,
Kieran.
Blake, Kieran, like aren't those the five of the top seven servers all opposite hand tossing?
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, it's a very specific nerf to like specific players, but it just doesn't feel it feels fine. Like I'm super happy if we keep it, but it's just not it's just so insignificant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about the next rule, which would be no hits on one or two on the first possession? So you have to use 3 touches first possession.
Playing this in the tournament yesterday, it was one of my favorite rules.
Same.
I loved this.
I loved it.
It allowed me on first possession to get to my spot and not have to worry about watching the play until I was in my spot.
Yes.
Like I wouldn't have to be like, "Oh wait, my partner just dropped it. Do I stay?" Instead of like opening up a gap.
Yes.
And I'm not like second guessing. Like I hits on two are fun in some ways, but I like them like a crafty hit on two mid rally. But the the smash on two when a player like is
Oh
rotating
yeah.
around, like it's just only good for me. Only good in my eyes. Only help defense, especially with the non-server being able to move. It allowed me to like get out of a spot where a hit on two would have been possible and get into a spot where like hits on three are more likely. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I've been playing a lot of mixed throughout this winter in our season that I was playing, and it was super frustrating that on my second serve I would pretty much always put on second because I just want to play the game. I don't want to stand there and double fault and ace the whole day away.
yeah,
So I would be putting it on, and then a bunch of times the weaker hitter on the team would get a touch, and then usually it was like the female who was a slightly weaker hitter than the male, and she would get a touch, and then the guy, even from like off net, would just rip the second because he knew I can hit it as far
yeah,
as I want. And I can just rip it. And to me, that's sad for both players. Like, I think one, it's a really, really beautiful thing for the both players to have to be well rounded, to have to be able to hit, and to
yeah.
actually get the opportunity to hit. Because a lot of times it also kind of felt like she's not even getting to show her skill and her level
Totally,
of play,
totally. Yeah,
and it's leading to just like really boring stuff. So that
agreed.
that
Yeah,
rule change was the one where I was like, this has to be a part.
this is really good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that was something that I hadn't even thought about, and that's
yeah.
so good. Yeah,
Shout out to whoever puts it on two
yeah, the
on
real one.
second serve. It's like, maybe not the best winning strategy, but it's definitely more fun.
It's yeah,
So,
it's the best life strategy. Let's
yeah, yeah,
let's
yeah.
put it that way.
Shout out to those living fighting the good fight.
Playing a good fight. At least trying to play some defense.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. Which actually brings me to a thought that with all of these rules, there was still a good amount of just rip both serves
Oh yeah.
because it didn't feel like hitting was nerfed enough to the point where if you give an easy put on and the other team is a good setter and a good hitter, they're gonna have a lot of options on their hit if you just give them a
Mhm.
put on. So
Yep.
most of
Yep.
the teams I was playing against would still just rip second serve, which
Hmm.
led to like the huge stat in Roundnet that was just disturbing to me when we first started taking stats last season was seeing 35% double faults and
Yeah.
30% aces. So you know
Hmm.
that more than half of your day is spent without getting a first touch,
Yeah.
which is just like imagine if any other sport was like that. You just
Yeah.
that's just not not it.
Mhm.
So I really would love to get it to a point where we're actually encouraging that second point to get in play.
That's critical.
That's
Yeah. That
critical.
has to be at some point a better decision than ripping on two.
Yes, yeah. And
Like
I don't mind.
unless you're the like one of the best servers in the world.
Yeah,
And maybe you have the best option of breaking. Like unless you're that level, like it should be a better option for you to play defense. That's
yeah,
where we need to be at.
yeah.
As
And it doesn't mean that it has to be like boop on, put on. Like
no,
I think it's
no.
fine if like if you need to still hit a jam or like
Yeah. And
the
like
top spin thing that moves them back.
learn how to hit a 95% jam.
Yeah,
Or a 90% little cut that you do over and over and over, but it's just like really consistent.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, if we want the sport to be spectator friendly, I feel like that's the thing that has to change is this
Yep.
65%. And
Yep.
that's on the low end. Honestly, I was watching pros last week in Germany. We showed up to pro and it was like pro opens and women's going on in like
Mhm.
the Bundesliga final for the pro level.
Yep.
And we watched, I was counting, I started counting at some point that we were watching probably like 36 points, somewhere around 40 points, and I hadn't seen a first touch in a room of 5 games. It
Really?
was like, and I might just came in at the complete wrong time, but
Wow.
it was actually just watching people
Yeah.
ace, double fault, or that was it.
Mhm.
And it was
Yeah,
like,
but then like you could be just a random person who's interested in round net that walks in, sees that, leaves.
oh yeah,
Okay,
no, you're not staying there.
through
Definitely.
this sport, that's lame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
you
wouldn't even
know?
know why it's lane. That's the thing. You just kind of be like, what are they? The what? It's
Yeah,
nothing has actually happened. Uh,
right, right.
so yeah, I think that's a big part of this whole rule change mission is, as Mitch was saying, figure out how we can keep all the dynamics as dynamic as possible. I think most people are really into that part of the
Yeah,
sport, that it's dynamics is such a beautiful thing about this game. And how can we move that 65% of just serve stuff into, let's see, more well-rounded things, which I would say that this did somewhat. I would say some people were putting on second that probably usually wouldn't. Um, but if I was a good server and I was playing a really intense game against really good receivers, I'm still gonna rip second. Like
yep,
it's just
yep,
still the better strategy, which you
yeah.
can't blame people for playing the sport the way that you can win, you know?
Oh, no, not at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely like the best strategy for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you want to win.
Yep.
Mhm.
Um, so let's move on to the movement rules. So we have the server's teammate is free to move when the server says serve.
Yeah,
How did you feel?
big fan.
Mm,
It was a little bit weird being the receiver, having someone move behind you at first, but I honestly got used to it. Um, Especially when you're really locked in on serve receive, it becomes like second nature. Like you don't even think about person behind you because like if they hinder you, it's their fault. Um, and and as the defender, it was nice. I could just like sneak behind someone and they don't know where I am. And I'm in a great spot as the point starts, and I can just kind of dance around and not have to worry about it. Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
I was a fan.
What was your strat? How what was your strategy? Strat, maybe people don't understand. What was
Yeah.
your strategy in terms of how often were you going around? Did you and your
Yeah.
partner have a thought of like sometimes we don't go around, sometimes we do?
Mhm. I was the only person to call don't go throughout the day. There were a few times where I felt like my partner and I need to mirror on their hips really well, and having someone go behind you have to go all the way around back to their hips. So you have to travel really far. So I would tell them to stay and I would go, but that was only like very few times throughout the day.
Mm,
Besides that, it was every point the non-server would get strong option.
yeah.
Every point. Yeah. So if they're already there, then they'd kind of shade back a little bit. And if they weren't, then it would be like you go every time behind, behind, behind.
Hmm.
Yeah. And it like allows you just kind of like you can almost like mosey your way over there.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
don't have to sprint like you usually do. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, we did a similar thing. I think we went around pretty much every single time. Um,
Yep.
one interesting thing is when you are the person who goes around, you have to be outside of the 7 foot, of course. You need to be outside of the service line until the serve actually hits the net, just as before.
Mhm.
And I think it was a little weird at first, the feeling of how do I approach correctly from that angle if you're
Yep.
already like, around the hitter.
Yeah.
Um, and but yeah, it made a really cool opportunity. I thought that after the receiver received, I could pretty much get right next to the setter and just be like sitting next to them as they're going to set. And I didn't need to run to get there. I just took a couple steps in, and now I'm getting one of the best views possible of the
Mhm.
set coming off of the hand. Uh,
Yeah. And you're also not on the weird side of the setter that's like farther away from the hitter. You're on the
yeah.
side of the setter that's closer to the hitter, which is, I think, more advantageous.
What do you
Yeah.
think about the person moving before the play? I've heard some people saying instead of running, you should just be able to pick your spot before the point happens, be standing there already, and then you just play from there rather than running out and around every time.
I think my main thought on that is like it would be a little bit weirder to watch. Like it's kind of nice to see everyone lined up, kind of
Mhm.
like aesthetically, like just see people lined up like that, and then have someone move rather than like, hey, what is that guy doing
Yeah,
at
just
like
hanging
a
out
random
behind the
spot?
other team.
Like a
Yeah.
random spot. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'd say that's my main thought. That's kind of my only qualm with it.
Yeah.
And I think I have no qualms with the non-server going as it currently is, so I would say stick with this.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Um, I thought that the only thing is sometimes it feels like there could be moments or even like strategies on the serving team where they could like send the person and like serve in that direction really fast or something that could lead to very like just weird moments for the receiver where they have like motion here and a ball to track at
Yeah,
the same time. Most of the time I was noticing the server would wait a second to let the person get like a little bit
yeah,
down before starting their like fakes and serve.
yeah.
Um, but it can feel a little bit rushed, I've noticed, especially in pickup with one of the players on our bond team does a bunch of fakes and he would take a step and immediately start faking while the other player was moving around. And it almost felt like overwhelming a little bit as the receiver.
Yeah.
But I don't think I think you can get over it. I think the only, I was also wondering what happens if you're like, you get hindered on your serve receive. It feels like that should be a point for the serve receiver probably,
Yeah.
but I don't know if it says that anywhere in the rules.
Yeah, I don't know what the exact rule is, but that's how it feels like it should be. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
What about the receiver's teammate moving forward and backward?
Yeah, just quickly, I feel like again that's just another good small rule change that I'm just all for because I feel
Yeah.
like it's so annoying when the other team can get the point because they're faking and someone gets like a little off balance, like has to
Yeah.
take a step. Like that's just
Especially when
ridiculous.
they do like that type of thing. Like
Yeah,
like
yeah,
just fake
yeah.
to hit it like a fake drop
Yeah.
and
So
so
yeah, just like super slight change, but I'd say yeah, I'm for it. It's good.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then the last rule was the simultaneous contact,
Mhm.
hands coming together. Did you
Yeah.
have that situation at all?
No, I didn't, but I've had the situation happen a bunch in pickup and tournaments before, and it's always annoying because it's like we just got a good touch, but like we both touched it, so now one of us has to have this crazy put on.
Yeah.
And we don't even know who it is, who has to get the crazy put on because you
Yeah.
don't know who touched it first. Um, so this is one where, yeah, as long as it's clear that like the contact is happening like pretty much at the same time, um, I just I think it's just a good rule. No,
Yeah.
again, it's not a huge change, but it's just a positive. It's like a less significant soft touch. It's like just gonna help defense, just clears up confusion. It's just good.
Yeah. Um, what I had was some people having confusion about this rule, including myself, thinking that simultaneous contact meant more like a continuous touch, like in the way that if you put up a defensive block right now and it bounces off your chest and then off your face in a 1-2 motion that's really fast, that only counts as one touch. And a lot of people at the tournament yesterday were thinking that that's how this rule works too, is that you have defender A, defender B, including myself. I thought that it was this way. The ball gets hits this person, and immediately bounces to this person's like shoulder, and then goes up. That counts as one touch. Um, but Mitch was clearing that up for me and makes a lot more sense that it's only if like it's actually simultaneous, the two of you. Whereas if it goes from one player to the other, even if it's like a continuous motion, nobody like reached out to get the next touch, that still counts as two touches.
Mhm.
Um, which I
I'm fairly certain that that's how it is. Yeah.
yeah,
This
yeah.
rule. Yep.
Yeah, that makes sense to me because the thing that was weird for me is that if you did have the 1-2 and that only counts as one, oh yeah, because the next part of the rule is that if you get the simultaneous touch, you have to set the second ball. You can't hit right away.
Mhm.
So if you got like this 1-2 really fast touch, and then uh, I saw that I had the first touch, clearly second touch was my partner. It feels like I should be able to hit the ball right
Mhm.
away because I that's just what my brain is going to be doing because I'm going to see it go off of them. Everyone
Right.
I've seen that. Um, so yeah, the like 1-2 continuous is not, or it feels like, and we're pretty sure that's what this rule is saying. It's not the continuous touch, it's simultaneous. So it has to be we're literally both on the ball at the same time.
Yep, yep, yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. That's
Cool.
all the rules. Did you have any overall things that you were thinking that brings it all together?
Yeah, overall, mostly good changes. It just feels like we need more.
Hmm.
Like I want to test out no drop zone. I want to test out expanded no hit zone, and I want to test out more big ball. Those are the three that I feel like we're potentially missing. Not that we need all three. I think we need big ball. I think that's a must at this point. I don't see I don't see a world where we don't have that. But the other two, like,
And why do you feel that way?
because it balances out the entire game. It doesn't it's like one change that affects everything in a positive way. As long as we have a good big ball. Like if it's a good high quality big ball that feels like a nice pro ball, but it's bigger.
Yeah.
As long as it's not like we've had a lot of issues with the quality of big balls that we've tried. And as long as it's a good quality big ball, um, it helps with how fast the ball moves. It helps with vision on serve, receive, and defense. It helps with the angles that hitters can hit and servers can serve. It feels like it does everything to take away some of the potency of serving that I think we need. I don't think we need anything more than big ball. Um, and that's just all good. Those are all good things.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I think the tournament yesterday for me went very well. I had a great time. It felt like a regular round net tournament with regular rules, but just more fun by like maybe it wasn't like a crazy amount, but it was definitely more fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I would definitely agree. It felt like um bringing all of it together, it did feel like the chances of the fundamentally better team winning increased,
Yep.
which the thing that was always so frustrating about the current rules is that like if you could serve really hard and you could hit really far,
Yeah.
it was really just so serve, receive, hit focused that
Yeah.
someone's defense, someone's set in were less of a big deal in terms of
Definitely.
how good you are or like how much you can win.
Yep.
And it did feel like it gave a slight notch to the fundamentally all around player
Definitely. Yeah.
and fundamentally all around team. Again, especially because both players needed to hit
Right.
with your both teammates needing to do that was big.
Hmm.
So I thought that was really good. And besides that, it felt like it was I would say similar amount of fun plus a bit more, which is good.
Yeah, which is good. But more.
Yeah.
We're not there
Yeah.
yet.
There's room, which I
We
think is
need,
great. It's really fun being at the beginning of this testing season.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
lots of positive, lots of positive.
I think lots of positive. Like we were going through all these rules, like they're pretty much all good.
Yeah.
And even if they're small, like they're good.
Yeah.
Good
I
changes.
played
Yeah.
against one team where the guy was doing some crazy cool defense. He was playing like deep defense a lot of the time, but he was just really good at reading when the person was probably gonna have to hit a deep shot. But he would like go off net early and then arc around and come into your hit. And it was like if you were putting it anywhere deep, he was fast enough that he was gonna get a touch on it.
We played someone just like this, and he would come in flying for
Yeah,
diving touches, and they were sick. Yeah.
yeah. And it was cool that you couldn't like if you're playing a deep ball with this with like the out of bounds, it's gonna be chipped enough that someone can get there. Like someone has
Yeah.
some time that the ball is going to be in the air. It was
Uh-huh.
really interesting.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it was cool. It was really cool just seeing like new forms of defense
Yeah, that is
and
cool.
like having to relearn it. And I would love uh it already is a part of the game that different players have different styles,
Yeah.
but like the meta is very clear,
Yeah.
and I would love it to get to the point where it's like the meta is very different depending on the player.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, it almost feels like in the NBA, like in basketball, you have your shooting specialists, you have your defensive specialists, you have your
Mm.
but they can all play in this game that is balanced enough that everyone's skills should be brought to the table and like you can have the best server in the world play against the best defender and you're gonna have a tight game.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Just like in basketball, you can have the best passing team and the best shooting team play against each other, and it's going to be exciting.
Yeah.
You're
Right.
just going to like see two different styles of play. Whereas
Uh-huh.
right now, it's like if the best serving team goes against the best defending team, 9 out of 10 times, the best serving team is going to win
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
because of the difficulty. So, yeah, I really love the thought of moving it more and more in that direction.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. I like that as well.
So we have another month of Rule Package A, right?
Yep.
All of May is Rule Package A
Yep.
or April.
April. And then May
April,
we go to package B.
May starts Package B.
Yep.
But that rule package um doesn't have the no hitting on one or two,
Yeah, I know. It was a bummer.
which is really interesting.
I
Um
think, yeah, I think so then rule package C is going to be a mix of A and B, the best parts slash like whatever else is potentially needed. And I really hope that those are reincorporated into package C.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, to me it kind of feels like the no-brainer rules from this one that we need to
Yep.
put in.
Yep.
It's the always hit on three on first possession,
Yep.
simultaneous contact,
Yep.
out of bounds. I think there has to be an out of bounds.
I would agree with all three of those. Yeah.
And then server's teammate free to move, I also think is good. Like it's gonna be,
Yeah.
is that out of the next one? Yeah, that's out of the next one too. Um, so it'll be interesting to go back and
Those
see.
first three for sure. And that
Yeah,
fourth one, probably. Yeah.
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 Yeah, it's cool that it feels like there's a few rules in there that I'm like, oh, taking that out of the game, I'm gonna really miss it. I'm gonna feel like the game, I now know that the game can be better than where it is, which is a good
Yeah.
thing. It means that we're moving in the
True.
right
True.
direction.
True. It does feel like we're moving in the right direction. Yeah. I feel pretty hopeful. Yeah. I'm excited. hmm
Hmm. Do you have other testing tournaments lined up already?
Yeah, I have a decent amount of tournaments I'm going to be doing. One more package A, and then I think two tournaments that'll be testing package B in May. Um, both not like crazy high level. Um, and then I'll get to try package C with you in June.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Also in June, just want to let everyone know I'm running a 3v3 with sides in a bounce tournament, which is my favorite way to play. It takes away the 360 element of the sport, but it adds all of the rallies that you've ever wanted and um, three people on a team. Very fun element. And it keeps the dynamics in terms of there are bodies, there are booms, there are crafty hits, there are crazy long gets, there are crazy recovery sets. Um, I'm really excited to run it. Really
So
excited to
for
make.
someone who doesn't know what that looks like, what do you mean by 3v3 with sides?
Yeah, so there's a middle line where it's one team's on this side, one team's on this side, net is in the middle, and you can only hit in one direction. And the ball can bounce once per possession for each team. Um, so it just creates a lot of situations. There's no boundary, creates a lot of situations where there's like two players who are playing closer and one player who always plays deep, like a libero kind of in volleyball.
In
And
volleyball, the libero is a defensive specialist.
yeah, so you kind of want that quick rundown person to be long, and people can hit it as far as they want, but between that back person who's already sitting back there and having a bounce before you set it, um, usually you have a good opportunity to put it back on net. And even with Premier Play, there are a lot of rallies that'll go three, four, five, six, seven possessions, and they get very fun. Yeah. It's June 28th and it's happening in Boston, if you guys are interested. Yeah. It's so far it's my favorite way to play. I like it more than 2v2 round net. And I my vision for it is to first, play it more and see how other people like it, see how I feel about it at like a high premier level. And potentially I could see it being something similar to like 6v6 indoor volleyball, how that is to beach volleyball. Like beach volleyball equivalent to 2v2 round net, and then 6v6 indoor, 3v3 with sides. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's an interesting thought, and it could be a really fun thing.
Yeah.
It's a fun switch up on the sport, and it gives me all of the rallies that I miss when I play regular. But it's not all rallies. Like you can still put the ball away, you can still serve. So yeah.
Yeah. I
So I'm
also just
interested to
love the
play it
idea
more.
of a three-person team. Like that
It's
adds so
fun.
much
Yeah.
energy. Yeah.
Yeah, and like you can have situations where each player has their specific roles. Like when the point starts, one person always goes back and it's the same person, or you could switch it up. It's just
Yeah.
fun. It adds a different flavor to the sport. And it feels a bit more like how other sports feel where people have specific roles rather than like everybody kind of needing to do everything in 2v2.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, that
Yeah.
the idea that you were just talking about that there's like no out of bounds and stuff like that, and the comparisons like indoor and outdoor volleyball was just making me think about the fact that one thing that I'm not sure about in terms of rule packages and testing and the new rules that people were bringing up yesterday at this tournament is that we were in a pretty small gym. And in Germany, like the whole winter league is happening in like small gyms around the country.
Yeah.
And building up these out of bounds in small gyms can be tight. It can sometimes
Yeah.
be almost non-feasible, or it
Hmm.
just means that you have to use like 12 rolls of tape every single time you want to play. And the amount of spray that you're going to have to use. I also understand people talking about those issues. Uh,
Yep. Definitely.
yeah, but I think also just inspiration to get the sport big enough that you have permanent lines.
Yeah, definitely.
I was thinking about like, oh yeah, volleyball courts need to use more spray than one of those. Soccer pitches need to use more spray than any of those,
Yeah.
but they're just there always.
Right.
Or I guess
Yep.
grass soccer sprays it every time, and that uses way more freaking paint than you
Hmm.
would use for a round net setup. So
Yep.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah, nice. Do you have any final closing thoughts, closing remarks?
Just that I'm interested to see where the sport's going, and I'm really thankful that there is motion and movement in the sport because it's been a bummer to be totally in love with the game, but be so bummed about where it's at. Yeah,
Mm,
because I want to just be wholeheartedly. I just love the game, love how it's played, and that's just not how it's been. So I'm happy that we're doing stuff, and I like where things are moving. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. What
I
about you?
really don't want to play Rule Package B without the hit on three.
Hmm.
That already sounds so
Yeah.
brutal to me to go
I hear
back.
you. Yeah,
Just like how the first times we played out of bounds and then going back to no
yeah,
boundary, it was like, dude, you can set up the perfect defense and you're still probably not going to get a touch. It's like
yeah.
so crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Definitely.
the good thing is that Pepper has never changed. And I've been
Never
playing
changed.
a lot of good Pepper with good humans.
It's undefeated.
It's undefeated. Pepper's the number one. Yeah, Pepper reigns supreme.
Yeah.
That's a fact.
Uh-huh.
Alrighty.
All right, everyone. Well, I hope you enjoyed this convo. We would love to chat it up in the comments. Yeah,
What you
hear what
got a
your thoughts
thought?
are. Yeah.
For sure.
And DM us on Instagram if you want any more info on the 3v3 tournament that I'm running. I am pretty active on Instagram for our page and would love to field any questions that you guys have about it.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see the highlights.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to
Yeah.
see some 3v3 clips. I've only played
Definitely.
it, I think, once, maybe
Yeah.
twice, and it was
Uh-huh.
fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah,
I've played it a bit with friends recently, and they are all begging me to play it again.
let's go.
Yeah.
That's when you
Which is,
know. That's when you
yeah. Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, it's like when you first play spike ball. Like when people first got like the black original spike ball net.
Yeah.
And you would play once in someone's backyard, and then everyone would text the next day and be like, "So when are we playing again?"
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
but no one knew how to reverse cut.
Right.
No one knew how to hit in every direction. Yeah, exactly. But everyone was addicted to the game.
Yeah. Because it
That's
was
what we got to
fun.
get back to.
You got to get back to that
But
for
that at a
sure.
pro level, that would be
Yes.
sick.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Ready.